Hey, thank you. Welcome to Extract Talks podcast. And by the way, we got a winner.
Yeah.
Another winner from Barstow, California, David Floyd.
All right.
He took the hemp strain survey. By the way, the hemp strain survey is still rocking. So answer, what is your favorite hemp strain and why? That would be good. And you can go on any of our social media outlets.
On our website too.
And our website.
Banners.
Yeah.
So we have.
Do that.
Yep.
CBG seeds are what are going out. And David's getting CBG seeds so he can grow his own.
Great.
Awesome.
Great.
He's getting a swag bag with shirt and other goodies. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Welcome. And if you're here, go ahead and enable your pop-up so you can see the chat bot. The chat bot is where we have our whole team ready to answer your questions. We have the bot is awesome. So on our website.
Awesome. Yesterday I stumped it though. Did
you
see
did.
that?
I saw that. I was like, woo.
Stumped the bot. I'm like, wow, I've never seen this before. Yeah. Stumped the bot.
He had to take a picture. Actually, he took a video of that and sent it to me. I stumped the bot. And that, for a scientist, is like
Pretty awesome.
That's the golden ring.
It's actually a failure because we should tell it what to tell the people in the event.
I know.
So it shouldn't be stumped. So
I know, but
I stumped it.
But you loved it.
Yeah, it was good.
He does. He does like it. So enable your pop-up so you can engage, and we love that. If the screen gets frozen, go ahead and just click the red, and it'll repopulate where you are. You don't have to get out and get back in. It's immediate. There may be poll questions today, depending on how we go through this, because today we're doing the Hemp Business Bootcamp.
Business Bootcamp.
And so we're going to go through each of the processes for you, whether you're a startup, whether you're a farmer thinking about doing this, whether you're an investor looking at this. We're going to go through the whole process of processing hemp.
Yeah.
So this is the hemp processing.
Yeah, we're going to be
business
emphasize.
bootcamp.
Yeah, and so we're going to emphasize all of the items, related to business.
Yep.
And
how to save costs and how to increase your revenue and how to increase your profit at each step.
Yeah.
That's what we're really going to touch on. So that's where explore all of our resources. They're available: live tours, CBD jam sessions, advanced extraction guides, distillation guides, our calculators. You guys are using the calculators, and if there's a calculator you want us to expand on, let us know.
Right.
Put that in the chat.
One other thing that we have that would be a good resource for you guys is our hemp startup assessment calculator, which is basically it's a scoring thing. So what it does is it brings you through a bunch of questions, and then it kind of gives you a score at the end of it.
Oh. And
it's kind of nice. It just gets you thinking about different aspects of your business plan. So it's on our website on one of the sidebars. It's a hemp startup quiz is what it is, and we'll just keep it open and see what happens. I mean, we've already had a whole bunch of respondents to it, so yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Hemp, that's going to be cool. Hemp startup quiz, go.
Yeah.
And then let us know what you think of that and how you scored. Share that. That would be great. Thank you. And we've got mini courses coming.
Yeah, we have been working on mini courses like crazy. So we have, I'm looking at it and like, okay, this is way more than you'd get from, basically a year worth of college. I mean, in terms of the courses and the course content. So it's almost like it'll be like almost like a mini master's in hemp processing. We have business topics. We have business topics. We have processing topics. We have formulation topics. We have all about CBD topics. It's just a tremendous amount of stuff. So we're going to be rolling those guys out, and you guys can sign up for those and take them, at your own pace.
Yep, and there
will be quizzes, of course.
There will be quizzes.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
And, we're talking about really expanding this as well, because people have been asking us, how do I get certified? How do I get a job in processing and extraction and all of that? And so we're looking at this overview as a way to train you or your employees. And we'll have, we're talking about doing some certifications on each step in the process.
Yes, that's right. I mean, yeah. So in in that instance, you should be, you could be certified, for example, in the business investment aspects of this, or you could be certified in the extraction aspects of it. So anyway, you'll be able to really kind of curate your own curriculum.
Exactly. Okay. So we'll look out for that. Thank you for being here. This is awesome. So let's jump in. Today, we're going to be going through each of the processes, all the way through the advanced bioprocessing workflow.
Yeah.
And I'll be interrupting regularly to talk about the business component of each element that we want to touch on. But we're going to be hitting testing, HPLC. We're going to talk about wipe film, short film, rotary evaporators and why or why not, thin film, falling film, vacuum filtration, winterization process, denatured ethanol versus food grade or organic ethanol, and when to use them and when not to use them. Supercritical CO2 and subcritical, those are available as well. Hemp extraction, hemp terpenes, decarboxylation, CBD, also known as decarb. Activation.
Decarb activation of your plant material.
And batch records and the manufacturing execution system that you're going to need all the way through, in good manufacturing processes.
And quality management systems.
And full QC. So excellent. So let's jump in. I think you've got a lot. I love this presentation that you put together. And I'm looking forward to jumping in.
Yeah. So let's kind of do a 30,000 foot view. And we'll just kind of look at, I don't think anybody who has attended our previous podcast, or if this is your first time, people just don't get tired of talking about the overall.
They don't.
The overall process. We get questions from people who are, well advanced and on the process, because there are different ways of doing things. So let's just kind of go right to the 30,000 foot view. We'll take a look at the forest here. So you got some raw material. You are getting that all prepared, of course, and you can see that I start with raw material. But the last several podcasts, you can go and look at. We've been talking about how to prepare that, how to shuck and bucket, how to really process that, how to harvest it properly, and all that. You go into a receiving station once you have that raw material, and that receiving station is the basis for your quality management system. It's the very basis for your manufacturing execution system. And it also is the basis for your laboratory information management system.
Absolutely. 3
key business pieces or softwares or processes, all 3 of those things are embodied in that to really help you get started. So that's really what the IGW lab is, and that's what that receiving station is. Then you go on to the plant processing. Oftentimes a processor will post-process raw material. So if the farmer is, giving the processor buds, or if they're giving them, just, plant or chopped material, you have a plant processing that's happening there. You're chopping it up, you're grinding it up. Maybe you're taking a lot of the sticks and stems out of it, things
just
like
in
that.
Case.
So then you're doing lab testing, and really that is a part
rocks,
of the
bullets.
Yeah, rocks, bullets, any other
shell casing.
But I think that they say it's a foreign matter and debris.
Yes, all of that stuff.
So it's the foreign matter and debris. What is that? Anyway.
Yeah, we've seen it. And just so you know, I'm going to interrupt here. From a business perspective, this receiving and raw material is vital. As we all know, as you're doing a startup, those of you who are in entrepreneurship or investment, time kills deals. And the best thing that you need to have is make sure that you've got all the paperwork coming in. So when you're receiving material, make sure you've got that certificate of analysis, the COA, you've got the grow license from the farmer, and you've got the certificate of commerce. Those are the 3 things you need before you can start doing any processing.
Correct.
Okay, and then you want to retest when it comes in, because you're
verify.
It's trust but verify. That's exactly
That's
right.
what we got.
Okay, so but that is a time kills deal. So some of this is a time issue. Make sure you do that in the receiving, and the IGW lab is all prevalent throughout the whole workflow, and that has that check mark. So this has to happen. This has to happen. You weigh it. You bring it in. Everything. We've covered that before.
Yeah, so you weigh it, It prints out a barcode. You put it out a receipt. The receipt goes in to your QA/QC, and then your lab test. Now, this is where we've talked about lab tests in the past, but usually, I mean, what can slow your whole process down is if you don't receive the lab tests from the farmer. Okay, so oftentimes if you're going to send it out to a third-party lab, you're looking at 2 to 3 weeks just to get the pesticides results into you, unless you pay an expedite fee and things like that. So there's going to be fees associated with your lab testing, or if you bring it in-house, you can reduce that amount of time, but you still have a cost associated with it.
Yeah, we just almost lost a deal because we had the product ready to go. It was a CBG deal, and we had the product ready to go. We had the potency, everything was good, but we waited, and all of a sudden we found out that the farmer didn't have the pesticide. And I was like, oh my gosh. So we ended up losing a week on that deal because we had to go out and get the pesticide test.
Right.
And then
we're not going to
follow up.
We're not going to add a ground material where we don't have a pesticide test going.
You don't want to bring that into your facility without that, because that'll contaminate your work.
What I've always seen is that a lot of people are push. Okay. But if you don't do it right, you're gonna be you will rue the day.
Yeah,
you will rue the day. Okay, so you put it into your system. Oh, we'll just wait, and then you're halfway through it, and it comes back with abdomectin in it, or forget about it. You just don't. That's
going to cost you
even touch
way
it.
more than waiting or even losing that deal.
Yeah, exactly.
So go ahead.
So then you got the grinding station. Obviously, you got to grind it up. Usually, you grind it up into some sort of small.
I always want to play disco music when we say the grinding station. Sorry.
A grinding disco. I don't know if that really okay, whatever.
It doesn't. But.
Okay. Then you got the grinding station. You got the ground material. Then that comes out of that. And then there's this optional decarboxylation, which takes place, which also is basically your terpene recovery station. That's where you get all your terpenes out. If you don't want to do that, if you just want to take ground material and bring it right to extraction, you just go ahead and do that. You're just not going to have pure terpenes to use in formulations. This is fine. It happens.
But isn't that also, that's when it is actually activated? The cannabinoids and things are. So the only time you would want to do that is if you're using it in a pre-roll or something. Or
no. Actually, when you burn the material, the ground material, it will decarboxylate and it's activated and it goes into your lungs.
With a pre-roll.
Right, with a pre-roll. Okay. But if you're doing the oil, there's two basic forms. You have the acidic and the base, acidic and neutral forms of like CBD or THC or any of the other cannabinoids for that matter. And what you're basically doing is you are converting the CBDA or the acidic form of the cannabinoid to the neutral form. The neutral form then is activated and can be absorbed into the body.
Right.
Okay, so a lot of research is being done on the acidic forms, but the absorption quality is so extremely low.
Yeah.
So there's some things along those lines, and there's a lot of research being, okay, well, how can we make that more, more bioavailable, okay, things like that. But the vacuum decarboxylation is really the way to activate it. Okay,
that activates the THC and the cannabinoids in there, even though it's low level. With hemp, you want to be less than 0.03. I
know that there are some products out there that use ground material in a capsule.
Yeah,
and the capsule is decarboxylated in there, so that when you actually put it into your gut, it's actually bioavailable from the actual plant matter. Oh, so that's one thing.
Brownie in a gel cap.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
It kind of defeats the purpose, but okay.
Yeah, kind of.
I'd rather eat the brownie, but okay. So that's the vacuum side of it. So then you get into the extraction.
Okay, hold on. Yes. With the terpenes, there is a full business model just around terpenes.
Yes, there is.
And at this level, when you capture those terpenes at decarb, those are pure solvent-free terpenes.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful. And there's a big market for those. So you can sell those or use those further down the pipe in your formulations.
Right.
So that's money. Money.
The key thing here is that a lot of the other companies are selling purified terpenes, okay, and they're synthetically derived. When you have terpenes coming out of this process, there's going to be a whole bunch of terpenes in there. It's going to look and smell like the ground material. And so I think that has a lot of value because it's more natural, okay, rather than buying it from Exxon.
They are sweet. We call them angel tears.
Yeah,
they're beautiful.
Here's a couple of my favorite ones. These are synthetic.
Oh.
This is geraniol.
Oh.
And this is neurodyl. You want to smell it? Want to smell it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course.
Go ahead, try it. Try it.
Of course I do.
I think,
Are you kidding me?
I think it smelled, this one, that's geraniol.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, that's very nice.
Okay, now smell this one. This is neurodyl.
Oh, sorry, I loaded it up. Ooh.
Neurolidol.
Neurolidol.
Yeah, neurolidol.
Neurolidol.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not very
Very
prevalent.
different.
They're not very prevalent, but they this has got a nice floral smell to it.
It really does.
Yeah. And this one, this one strikes me as having a phthalate note. So to me, it almost smells like a new car.
It
Kind
does,
of. Just see.
Because Nero.
Yeah, everybody disagrees with me on this. Okay, so maybe like I don't know where you buy.
No,
your
it does
cars.
have that.
It does have that
It
new
does
car
have.
smell. Yeah.
Well, when you go to the car wash and you say you want the new car scent, that's kind of what that is.
Yeah, I bet you they use terpenes.
They probably do.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
We just
Terpenes,
gave you another.
And just so you know,
idea.
the terpenes from hemp are spectacular.
Oh yeah, they are great.
They're very chlorophyll-y, and it is the smell that you've come to know and love.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that, some of the terpenes are lost in the ground material or, basically while it's sitting there, while it's drying. We talked about our curing and things like that. That's something that you need to think about. There's really no good way to capture those types of terpenes, but so just suffice it to say that you do lose some, obviously, as you dry out and things like that. So
Sure.
then you go into extraction. Obviously, extraction is there's a lot of different ways to do it. We talked about different ways. You can extract with supercritical CO2, obviously. I think that's the cleanest, lowest cost way to do it versus ethanol, which is higher cost due to operating costs, simply due to the loss of ethanol.
And that's the business model, is you want lower costs, lower operating costs overall, forever lower power consumption, smaller footprint, everything.
Right. So, with throughput and everything also considered in there. So one of the things about CO2, if you can scale it, historically, it's always been very difficult to do. It's kind of gotten a bad rap because a lot of people were running at very low pressures, for example. And so they scratched their heads and said, well, how do I scale this? And they weren't able to figure out that, okay, well, you go up to high pressure, you're using decarboxylated material, you're going, your throughput can be tons a day with a very, with like 3 machines, for example, like what we have. So that's just some considerations there. Dewaxing and filtration is a optional item. We've been using and what that is that's taking the waxes and the fats out of the extract and leaving in the cannabinoids and things like that. So a lot of people need to do that if you want to go and distill downstream.
Yes.
So so it's kind of like a pre-process to distillation, and a lot of people want to do distillation, either a white film evaporator distillation or they want to do a short path distillation. There's a couple different ways to do it. But in order to do that, you really want to take and do a bulk process first where you're taking out all those waxes, as much as can be done, and then you go into your distillate. So that whole line there from dewaxing, to winterization, to oil and ethanol solution, to evaporation, that whole process is involved with, basically taking the waxes out. And
to dewax, that's when you introduce ethanol, and we use food grade or organic grade, depending on ethanol, and we never use denatured ethanol in that process ever. That's the stuff you put in your gas tank almost, right?
Yeah,
so you don't want that.
Right.
And that's why, because that dewaxes, and then the winterization separates it even further, so you're removing more of those waxes. So that's the money side, is making sure you bring out that bulk process, as Dr. John said, and then you need to evaporate out. You need to remove all that solvent, and that's what the Fractron, that evaporation does.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I mean, it's just with a lot of people say that those other chemicals, those other denaturants in there, that's okay, it's no problem at all because the distillation takes it out. We can't even see it. That's not actually true, because the testing that you're using for that has such a high detection limit that they're in there, but you're just not seeing them.
That's right.
Okay, so it's just not quite that way. Okay, you're not going to be able to get them all out of there. So
Residuals are bad.
residuals are there, and
Yeah.
residuals are bad. And even if they're under the limit, you may get a pass test. We've kind of gone over this before in several of our previous podcasts. But look, if you have two distillate samples and one has been processed with CO2, it doesn't have any of those residuals in it, and you have one that has residuals in it, even at a low level, which one are you going to choose? Which one are you going to vape? Which ones are you going to formulate with? Well, I know which ones I'm going to do, just because I'm kind of a chemophobia.
Yeah.
Chemophobia.
I like it.
That's what I got. All right. All right. So dewaxing, winterization. So how this is done is you take the oil that comes out of extraction, and you are mixing it up with ethanol. You're freezing it down, and then you're filtering it. And that can actually be done in a very quick, high throughput way using a couple pieces of equipment. One called the Drain Droid freezer. You don't usually go through this process in a serial manner. You're doing like a first in, first out manufacturing process, okay? So it's not like you're sitting there waiting for 24 hours for the waxes to fall out, which it doesn't take that long anyway, but usually what people do is they let them sit overnight, and then they'll process the stuff that they did yesterday. So there's really no wait time. Yeah. There's really no wait time. Then you need to get all that out of there, all of the ethanol out of there, so then you use some sort of evaporation, okay? And the evaporation is where you're removing all of the ethanol from the wax, and you're just leaving what they call winterized crude.
Yep.
Okay. And there are ways to go about this that are very inefficient. Okay. This process here can be very efficient if you make it. It can be very high throughput. You can do the equivalent throughput of 5 tons a day, which like what we do here. You can do that in this process here, and it's very short and truncated. It doesn't have to be long.
Even though it looks like there's a lot more steps, it really speeds up the process.
Right.
Again, you're investing in that automation and making sure that you're adding profit to the bottom line,
Right.
Overall, which is very good.
Right. Okay, so then you got, once you have evaporation, the evaporation that takes place, usually we use what's called the fractron, okay? Yes. And the fractron is an awesome machine. I mean, it
really is.
Yeah.
And most people use rotary evaporators, right?
Yeah, right.
And you need, to do 20 liters, it takes over 4 hours.
Yeah.
To do 20 liters.
Right. So, and it's batch process too. So exactly. Once you put the stuff in there, all right. So evaporation. So we were just talking about that. Okay. What the rotovapes are. Look, you can, if you have a get started type of mentality and you're going, you're not investing in automation, then batch processes are just fine.
Yeah.
In fact, most of the cannabis places, they're really not, investing a lot in automation because they're not doing super high throughput.
Right.
They're doing, maybe 100 pounds a day of cannabis or something like that. So you don't really need to have all that.
Yeah. Even the startup, if you're starting up initially, with hemp and you're just doing small batches initially, that's okay to start out with a rotovap, but know that that's going to be your bottleneck in your process.
Right.
And you want to move to the fractron, which will do, at least 20 gallons an hour.
Right.
That's giant of solvent removal. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and that specification is really like it'll have very, very small amount of ethanol in there. So if your distillation process can take even more of the ethanol in there, you can increase it up to about 40 gallons per hour.
And so what happens is not only are you speeding up the process using the fractron, you're eliminating the workload on the distillation unit. And what that does is you don't have to have multiple distillation passes,
right?
And you're going to increase your yield there, which is money in your pocket,
right?
So, and that is an integrated solution with the fractron and the clear still, which are great. It's going to put money in your pocket. That's good stuff.
Yeah, putting the processes together so they're integrated is always a good thing. I think that because you eliminate inventory in between, right? And I think that's obviously a big benefit. So, for example, from from dewaxing all the way through distillation, that can be integrated into one process.
Yes.
You know, so that's not a problem.
And we can do that. Now, just so you know, even though we talk about this integrated solution, we love that because you do get that economy scale.
Yeah.
There are advantages,
Right,
but in if you are an ethanol processor now and you have that, you've got a lot of solvent to remove, a lot. And we are selling the post-processing solutions to many ethanol processors.
Right.
They don't have our extractor right now, but we're selling these fractrons and clear stills because it's increasing their capacity and their throughput, even with an ethanol facility.
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about what the fractron really is.
Yeah.
It's actually 3 falling film evaporators put together. Okay, and they're not just
3.
Yeah, 3 of them, and they're so we have pumps in between each of the fractions, and we can actually slow it down and speed it up. Each one of the fractions has its own independently controlled condenser, so you're basically getting out 3 different fractions, or you can put all the fractions together. So it's not like your typical falling film evaporator. In fact, there's nothing like it on the market at the moment. You could think of it like a fractional distillation tower that you might see on like at a oil refinery.
Yeah.
Only it's horizontal. See, because usually with the fractional
Where did you
distillation,
possibly get that idea? It couldn't be from your past experiences at all, could
Oh
it?
no, it couldn't have been. No, not at all. But the evaporation is actually quite. It's really great because it's continuous.
The fractron just absolutely kicks ass.
Yeah, a lot of the people, they'll use the falling film evaporators in a non-continuous mode.
Yeah.
So
batch again.
they'll add in 20 liters and then it will circulate again and again and again, and then they stop. And then when they stop, of course, everything kind of cools down. Everything gets plugged up.
Yes.
Okay. And then you got to clean it, and you're like, okay, is that all that stuff in there? No. So, and then that's the big issue. You want to make sure that when you're running it constantly flowing through, and everything is available to be cleaned. So
it's amazing.
We have a whole bunch of tricks up our sleeve relative to the way we do the falling film. Okay, it's not just a falling film. It's a combination of falling film and packed bed. Okay, sometimes and some people want to use, for example, the third column in a packed bed reactor to actually do the decarb. So some people who don't start off with a decarb material, they're just extracting it, then they want to decarb, so you can incorporate the decarb solution in there at the very end, which is pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, that is sweet.
Yeah,
awesome.
And then that can be put right into the white film evaporator. The white film evaporator is what we call the clear still. This particular clear still, we have 2 versions of that. We have the 400 and the 200 version of that. The 400 version is basically a 4 liter per minute, or 4 liter per hour, excuse me. It's a 2 passes in one single system. So again, we're putting, most people have to do 2 passes at a very minimum. Sometimes they do 3 passes. Yeah. So, so what would happen in our own operation is that there'd be buildups of inventory between the first pass and the second pass.
Always.
And then, the people who did the work, it was just because there was bottlenecks, right?
Yeah.
One would not run as fast as the other. So then you can put the fractron and clear still together. So
and
that's
when you
the bottom
do
line
that,
there.
again, going back to the business model, the clear still we have found setting up with competitors. So until we developed the clear still, we were using other, distillation methods and equipment. And we stack them up next to each other, and the clear still is running at 20 to 30% higher yield than the others.
Right.
And and part of that is when we're using the fractron to pull out most of that,
right,
then the clear still can run even that much more efficiently, as can the other equipment. But even after the fractron, the clear still was still yielding 20 to 30% more product,
right,
more full spectrum distillate out of that than the nearest competitor.
Right. So one thing to note on that, if you guys use our calculators on our calculators page, that's extractlab.com/calculators, you'll see in there that we're showing you yields to distillate. Okay.
Always.
Okay. Now you have to add some yield on there with the clear still, because those are old numbers with old equipment.
Yeah, and we're still working on those models and making sure, but
Add another
time and again we're doing it. But
10%.
Yeah.
10%, something like that. Just telling you out. I mean, because
Rule of two.
Yeah, the rule of two. Well, in this case, it's 10%. We just make sure you add a little bit more, because we haven't updated our calculator. We were using some other competitive equipment,
Right.
and it was lower yield.
Yeah.
And then we found out with our equipment, wow, we're getting all this yield, so we haven't updated our.
But even
calculators.
if you use the models and the calculators we have on hand, they're there. You're going to be pleasantly
Good
surprised.
Good rule of
and
thumb.
You're going to
Absolutely.
have more profit, more revenue, more profit built in.
So now let's pause here, because let's just stand back, because right now this distillate now will have will be ready to sell. Okay, if you're doing a bulk, or there's a lot of different things you can do with it. You can do isolate, you can do separations if you need to get the THC out, or you can go directly into your product development.
Yep.
Yeah, into your CPG product development formulations process. So if you just stand back now, look at this workflow here from the standpoint of a business value stream. What we have is we have a plant product now being refined into a product that actually can be sold right on the market. Okay, and the value stream, what I recommend and what we teach our customers to do is really map this out. Okay, and map the information flow and also the material flow as it's going through this value stream. Yeah. And when you do that, what happens is you have a current state that you're mapping out, and you're saying, oh, well, this is not, I don't think this is the way it should go. Okay, a lot of that has to do with how you schedule from a business standpoint. How do you create demand for distillate in your manufacturing facility? Obviously, you want to do it with a sale, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So what a lot of people do is they'll start making it. They won't have the sale. Yeah. So you want the customer to be pulling stuff from you.
Go get the customer
instead of you pushing it into the processing, into the workflow. So what's very important is that you understand where to schedule your demand or your pull. Yes. And you want to have pull systems.
Yes.
Okay. Always. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, we have an operational excellence podcast we did on this. You guys can look at it. We go through a value stream map. You guys can call us. We do that kind of consulting as well. So
absolutely.
But it basically is lean principles. So, and you want to make sure that you're minimizing or controlling inventory in between at the very beginning. In between each of the processes, you want to make sure that you have good understanding of what the cycle time is, the machine time, the uptime of each one of those processes, so that you can get the cost accounting that you need to form the basis of your cost of goods sold. Okay.
So absolutely. So if you have a client who is looking for, 10 kilos of isolate or, several kilos of full spectrum distillate, or maybe they want, tea-free, they're calling it tea-free, it's THC non-detect distillate, which is broad spectrum distillate, right? And then how do you get there? So you want to find the customers who you're serving and make sure that you are, you're making the product that they want and are willing to pay you for.
Right.
So figure out where you want to hang out that shingle. Do you want to just work on full spectrum distillate? Is that your sweet spot? Is isolate your sweet spot? Pick a sweet spot that you're serving that market. Know the market better than your customers do. Know your market better than your competitors do, and you will always win.
Right. Right. So I think that this is a great overview. I don't think it's necessary for us to go through the isolation, separations, and actual products at this moment. But I think that we can do that down. We can do that later. Actually, I think.
Yeah, and just know the only thing I will say again is the big market, the saleable products are full spectrum distillate, which will be ready after clear still, after the distillation process. So you can sell full spectrum distillate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
So
big market for that, putting it right in packaging.
Full spectrum is referring to couple different things, right? Within CBD world, full spectrum usually means it has the full spectrum of cannabinoids, and it has the full spectrum of terpenes. Okay. And it also has less than 0.3% THC in it. So that's the CBD world. In the THC world, of course, there's no specification on, for example, the amount of THC in there. So it's the full spectrum of cannabinoids and the full spectrum of terpenes.
Right.
Okay.
And then to go to the separations, that's when you do a full THC remediation. And, our Pure 99, for example, is optimized to remove the THC as much as possible.
Right.
And that gives you a broad spectrum, which still gives you the full terpene entourage. It gives you the full cannabinoid entourage, and optimizes for CBD, but it removes almost to a non-detect level the THC.
Yeah, and the isolation side is the same way, where you're basically, you have your CBD and your cannabinoids, okay, and right here, and then here you have your matrix, okay, and you're basically pulling those apart, you're throwing away the matrix, and so you just have your pure CBD there.
Pure CBD. Now, one of the things that you're finding from a business perspective, I always say full spectrum and broad spectrum are your products that go into tinctures and other things that give you the fragrance and the flavor and the aroma of most of the entourage in the broad spectrum and the full entourage in the full spectrum. But in lotions and lip balms and other things that don't have that requirement, isolate is the way to go. And many of the larger big box, pharma is moving toward isolate because they just want that pure CBD.
Yeah. And a lot of people, if they want the full entourage effect, they can just use their terpenes that they collect up here, and they put those in with the isolate, and they get that nice flavor.
Beautiful. Without the THC.
And aroma, yeah. So, I mean, the packaging side and then how you're formulating, this is a subject of a whole process. Okay, so I guess I can go into it a little bit. I mean, formulations is basically the process of fixing the concentration of your active, which would be CBD or THC or maybe a combination of those.
Sure.
And then in the way and then also engineering the experience along with, to flavor, aroma, taste, whether or not you have what kind of excipients you use. So this is what people talk about. One popular excipient would be like a medium chain triglyceride, for example. They take MCT oil and they stick it with the CBD full spectrum distillate, and then they create tinctures out of that. Okay. Even though tinctures are not usually thought of as oil, they do have they're taken sublingually, and there is absorption sublingually with that type of a formulation. So other formulations that people have heard about, nano formulations, for example, where they encapsulate CBD or THC into a nanoparticle, or they'll shear it down to a nanoparticle, or they'll put it into what they call a liposome. And those things are supposed to be better bioavailable when it's ingested into the gut. It's supposed to.
Don't they do that also if they're trying to put it in a liquid form, because it's not none of these are water soluble. They're oil. Right. So they're not water soluble.
Right.
So you have to anandicize and then encapsulate in some way.
Right. Exactly. So you're bringing them down, supposedly below the wavelength of light. And so you're not be able to see them when they're actually a particle there, but they're not be able to see them. So that's the whole impetus to going down, very, very small in scale. So wavelength of light is what, 3 to 700 nanometers. So anything lower than that, but you get it. You get this hazy, sometimes you'll get like a hazy, type of liquid. So
bong water.
Yeah. That's basically what you get. Anyway, so that's where you really also reintroduce your terpenes for your full spectrum entourage effects.
Yes.
And you can do vapes, you can do all this stuff. And this is really where the fun is.
It is.
And we've done, we've only done a couple podcasts on these. And we did how to make the best tincture ever.
Which was a blast.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I remember it all.
We should, that was where you had... we did a RSO, which is Rick Simpson oil, which is basically an extract of using
I thought he said Homer
Absolute vodka
Simpson.
or whatever. No, we didn't use Absolute vodka. What do we use?
Everclear.
Yeah, Everclear. That's right. Yeah, that's right. And then he drank the whole thing. So it was.
I don't remember much of that afternoon.
Yeah,
that was crazy. But
and then the Delta 8, when you tried the Delta 8,
I
that
did.
was also. Yeah, he was kind of loopy. So
So I don't plan a lot after these podcasts because I never know what's coming at me.
No, we should do a vape show. I think that would be kind of fun.
Oh boy.
Where we can formulate some vapes and things like that. I think that'd be
I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun. By the way, when we did that in the R&D lab, somebody said that we were Cheech and Chong in lab coats.
Yeah.
So
It happens.
it does happen.
Okay.
We love this. This is fun.
Okay. Now look on the packaging side. This is really where the formulations and the packaging side is where your MRP and your ERP, your materials resource planning modules that your accountants are going to want to know about. Actually, they're going to want to know about the whole thing.
They do.
They're going to want to know, okay, all the things that I was just talking to you, what are the standard labor costs? What are the standard, material costs? Where does the information flow? Where is scheduling done in your facility so that you can have a pull system? Okay, and how does that interact with the accounting system? The accountants rule all, period. That's it.
Yep.
Because this is a manufacturing process. So anything that you do from a manufacturing execution standpoint, anything that you do from a laboratory information standpoint, they need to know about traceability, because that's basically the system of record for recalls. The MRP ERP system is going to be basically executing that on the recall side. So you'll have SOPs that really help with that, but all of your customer ledger, that's in your MRP ERP. Also, how do you, for example, monitor levels of packaging? How do you do that?
Yes.
How do you monitor levels of excipients? How do you know about expiration dates with all of your solvents and excipients and all that stuff that you're going to be using for your formulations and your packaging? Well, guess what? You have to have a good business system for that.
And why does that make sense? Why do you need to do that from a business perspective? Everything that Dr. John is talking about is good manufacturing practices. And if you can prove that you are GMP compliant, good manufacturing practice compliant, and that little C that you see now is current because GMP is more of an iterative process. So current good manufacturing practices, if you're there and you can prove that with documentation and certification and show your processes and show that you have, how are you doing recalls, what's out there, you have opened up a plethora of opportunity for yourself in terms of customer base.
That's true.
And that's good business.
And it's also good business from the standpoint of you'll know where all your money is. Because a lot of times but you get it caught up. I mean, you mentioned it earlier. You get it caught up in inventory that's parked here or here or here in the process, and you just don't even know it. The accountants know it, and that's why they're beating you about the face and arms, saying, why is all this stockpile here? Well, at some point in time, that if your goal is to really build something up and sell it off to somebody or to merge with somebody, you're going to have audited financials, essentially.
Or just to optimize your profit on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, right. But I mean, if you want to get sold or anything like that, you have to have audited financials.
You do.
Period.
Yeah.
So if that means that you have to be able to put those financial systems in place, that means you have to know what your material workflow is. You have to know what your information flow is, and you have to be able to articulate in the form of a income statement, a balance sheet, and a cash flow statement what your business is. So usually people crawl, walk, run into that, right?
Yep.
And so starting off with a small startup, what would a crawl scenario look like in your mind for this process?
For this process?
Yeah.
When you're saying about from the accounting perspective or from just the actual process?
Maybe from just the business standpoint, what would be the steps to go?
Well, the first step is to find who is your customer going to be. That's the absolute first thing, and we talked about that. When are you going to sell bulk in terms of the product, full spectrum distillate, broad spectrum distillate, isolate? What are you going to sell? Are you going to have your own packaging? Are you going to, sell into vape cartridges? Are you going to do the other products, potions and lotions kind of thing? You've got to know that, and then have your customers lined up.
Right.
Once you get that, you know where that pull is going to come from. As Dr. John said earlier, that's going to pull you and target you on what you need to do. And then it's a matter of getting, set up, getting it.
That's where divination takes place.
Yes. Yes, because there is a little bit of guesswork. Yes, I understand divination is, but it's not a wild ass guess. It's an educated guess.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So So I'm an investor, and you are trying to pitch me. Okay.
Go.
Okay. Go. You
okay.
Go.
I have customers who want isolate. Right.
How many customers have you talked to?
I've talked to 3 times 10.
3 times? You've talked to 3 times 10.
3 times
well,
10.
And then the rule of 2 would be 60.
Right, isn't that what we talk about? But we do, yeah.
And then what did they tell you?
Exactly.
What did they tell you was important? What did you ask them?
They wanted isolate in there because they're putting it in there. They don't want the taste or smell for the boomers. They want to put that in lotions and potions and get that out there. They want to put it in gel caps. So I have these customers. This is what they want.
Yep.
So in order to get there, I need to be able to produce isolate. And here are the farmers that I've talked to who can get me the right CBD and CBG. And here are copies of their COAs and their licenses so that you see that I've talked to them. And here's my process of going through that. And I'm capturing terpenes at the decarb level to additionally enhance my formulations down the road and to get my and to be able to sell those if I wanted to ongoing. I have I've chosen CO2 extraction because my operating costs are far less. Here is my pro forma, and you can see that. And as a comparison, here is the operating cost of an ethanol plant versus the CO2 that I've chosen, even though the capital equipment is much greater. This is why I'm doing it, because there's a 6 to 9 month crossover on operation, and I can enjoy those profits for years to come. That's what I want to do. That's why I've chosen CO2 versus ethanol. Bam. And then I go into, here's the dewaxing and filtration. And boy, we've got some byproduct of that dewax and oil that's there.
Yeah.
There's no market for that right now.
Well, that's not, I don't know. We're using that now. We're using that in our, did you see that stuff that we made? Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we have, we're using that as the wax portion to the creams.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, and so we can certify it organic because it's,
we do have all
it is beautiful
that's awesome.
stuff.
That's new stuff.
And actually it looks really great. You know how typically you'd have anyway, so yeah, there is stuff. I mean, people have known for a very long time that they can use those waxes, okay?
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's hard to get organic wax. So if you have an organic, ground material, if you have an organic raw material stream, you can actually, at that point in time, you can get those waxes out.
Spectacular. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. See, I didn't know that. Yeah. And now we've got it. So those are things that I would be telling an investor, saying, here is the market. It is a $6 billion market today, growing to a $23 or $27 billion market within 5 years, depending on who you talk to. And here are the 3. Here's Stansberry Research. Here's all of these other people who are telling you what this market is. So it's a growing market. We're on the front end of that.
Right.
I want you to be my partner in this. Are you in?
I'm in.
Done.
All right.
Let's go. We're going to make money. So, but the more you know and more confidence you can convey about this whole process,
right?
If they know you understand it, boy, that's huge.
It's really important that you talk to your potential customers, okay?
Always.
And or at least get what they call an avatar about that particular demographic, okay? So I'm going to talk. I'm going to sell.
And not
to,
the blue avatar with a tail.
I'm going to sell into Europe, okay? And then someone who knows something. Okay, well, how many Europeans did you talk to? Okay, well, what are their requirements, right? And what would be really great is if you came back and said, okay, I talked to 15 customers. They all agreed to a 10-minute interview. I went through that interview. I basically asked them what their requirements were, what their needs were, and how I could possibly fulfill them if they were to be my customer.
Yes.
And you can do that as a process when you're starting it out. You can actually record it, ask them to get their permission. You can get them all transcribed, and that then becomes the very basis of your pitch. Because, hey, here, our product here is responding to what they call the voice of the customer, and you're really able to then curate your product saying, hey, look, there's nascent demand here. It's a white space that other people are not addressing. This is the customer need as per the customers you have. Here's the customer segment, my product available segment that I have. In other words, if I'm going to make like an eye serums, for example,
Sure.
or serums,
Yep.
so I would talk to people in a demographic that anti-aging creams. Okay, that's a lot smaller than here's the total market.
What are you saying about anti-aging creams? What are you saying?
No, you look pretty good for your age.
100 years old.
Okay, so
Sorry,
anyway.
but yes, talk to the customers. Get that listed down, and know who your competitors are also, because those competitors could, quite frankly, be your customers. Mm-hmm. Don't forget that. This is a big growing market.
Right.
And when you get an order that exceeds your capacity, those competitors are now, you are their customer because you're going to need their help.
Right.
And we do that. Much of what we do is for our family that comes in and buys our equipment. We do processing for them all day, every day, because they're either they've gotten a client who exceeded their capacity requirements, and we backfill for them as part of the family. Yeah. And we're their contract manufacturer.
Sometimes it takes them 9 to 10 months to get up and running because they have a building or they're getting a building going or whatever. So we can provide stopgap processing. Wow, I said it wrong twice.
Did you drink any
Stopgapprocessing.com.
No. You sound like me. I love it. So from this advanced bioprocessing workflow, we wanted to take this hemp business bootcamp and really do a high level overview, but really lock in each element as a business solution and how you're going to make money or reduce cost. But how is it going to help your business? And how is it going to help you increase and improve the likelihood of you getting funded? I mean, all of these are things that you need. And I appreciate all the questions. I know the team is going frantic on your questions, so I appreciate that. Keep them coming. They will be sitting here afterwards until we're done answering questions. And even then, if you've got a specific need or requirement, we do CBD jam sessions, so we can sit down with you on your specific chat. What are you hung up on? Where are you stuck in this process? What questions do you have? And we have a lot of things that can help you with funding, with helping you get the right pitch deck, the right pro forma, the right calculators. All of that is online, and the white papers. That's the other thing that investors are looking for. Are white papers that support your assumptions.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's huge.
Right.
And again, that's getting those customers. So we're always here to help you make more money, to reduce cost, and improve efficiency. Mm-hmm. That's why we're here. We're part of the family, and we so appreciate your questions. Again, John always says these go into more detailed FAQs.
Yeah.
And we do exhaustively explore all of your questions for a good answer.
I would encourage you to, download for those of you who want to go in deeper, go and check out one of our guides. We have extraction guides. We have distillation guides. Go in and take a look at that. Look at our calculator library.
Calculator library is huge, a great place to go, and that's always expanding. And also, the mini courses that are coming we're going to be drilling down into each element of this. We're going to be talking more. I'm going to be spending more time talking about the business cases that are out there and what's working, and specific wins and losses, so that we can post-mortem those, so you don't make those same mistakes that we and other people have made. Yeah. We get a lot of arrows in our backs.
And we do.
And that's why we want to share our experience with you, so that you don't have those issues going forward. You're always going to have issues. but we're here to backstop that.
I think you have a life subscription to them.
I do. I do. Of arrows in my back?
No, issues.
Yeah, just issues. I have a lifetime of issues and a lifetime subscription. Yes, we all do. So we covered a whole bunch of stuff today, and the HPLC testing, which is, the high performance liquid chromatography testing, which is potency testing. You're going to need that through this whole process. The IGW lab, the manufacturing execution system, including your the ERP and MRP systems that Dr. John was talking about earlier for your accounting. I mean, all of those are in every step of this whole process and workflow. So you're going to need all of that. We've talked about wipe film, falling film. We've talked into the Fractron and the clear still. We've talked about terpenes, thin film evaporation, falling film, vacuum filtration, winterization. And I'm excited that on the de-waxing side of it, we're using those waxes now. Yeah. That's exciting.
Yeah, that is
I know
really
we've
exciting.
been working toward that for a while.
Yeah, we have. And part of it is just the process itself to make them, refine them, but they're so smooth. They are so smooth.
So this was predominantly geared toward hemp extraction, hemp terpenes, the hemp process. So this was the Hemp Business Bootcamp. I appreciate you being here. Again, the team is there. Thank you for being here. And the favorite part of our show is those questions. So keep the team, Elijah and Q, and Lucas, they're all answering your questions behind the scenes. They're good. James and April are here for our moral support, and we drive them crazy, don't we?
Oh, we do. They're like, oh, don't say that. Oh, we have to cut that out.
No, we drive them crazy. I know we do. Subscribe to our podcast, please, and share it. We are going to be moving these to some more truncated versions. So we're going to try to start to bring these down from an hour long to 30 minutes and have them more as we move into those mini courses so that they're more available to you rather than a full hour. So I appreciate that. Subscribe to us. And by the way, we're now on Amazon Music. Did you know that?
Sweet. All right.
Amazon Music, our podcast is there.
So
Very
iTunes, cool. Google, what are the other platforms that we're on? Spotify?
Yeah, all kinds of different things. Subscribe to our YouTube.
We're on Pandora too.
We're on Pandora.
Yeah.
Wow. That's good.
Look
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, also Calculator Library, all of our social channels. Again, thank you and congratulations to David Floyd from Barstow, California. He took that hemp strain survey. Don't forget to fill that out. Go on there. I just really appreciate you. So in this episode, we covered a ton. Thank you. Well done. I love this whole process.
All right.
Well done. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Next week, I think we're doing top 5 success factors for CBD brand leaders. So brand. All right. Brand leadership. All right. Thank you.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Are you stuck in your hemp or cannabis business? Are you not reaching your processing goals? Here at Extract Lab, we offer a free 20-minute CBD jam session. A CBD jam session is a conversation with an industry expert, not a sales call. A conversation where you can talk to us about whatever issues you are having right now and where you are stuck. We will help you uncover any issues you are currently having in your business, create a solution to fit your current scale, develop a future scale-up plan based on your needs, and help you make your processing goals a reality, all while getting your business plan back on track. Schedule your free 20-minute CBD jam session at 1-651-600-0036. Again, that number is 1-651-600-0036.